All right, well, this is going to be a special type of legal lesson today, but special in the situation where I talk mainly about my thoughts, but combine them with the Pogo Islands. But even though my thoughts and the Pogo Islands kind of correspond to each other because the laws of the Pogo Islands are consistent with what I believe in, so I'm going to be discussing it today. Some of you, my more right-leaning listeners, might not agree with some of this, and that's okay. Some of you might not, but these are my positions. I'm going to be talking about the laws in the Pogo Islands with regards to guns, from shotguns to AR-15s. Here we go. Time for Zach's next legal lesson on my opinion on guns and the law on guns, rules, and regulations. What's up, everybody? It's Zach the Celtics guy here, back with another video, and here with my next legal lesson here. I'm just going to find out what episode this is because sometimes it's just hard to keep up with the numbers these days. Episode 21. Well, you know what that means. This is a great video to be episode 21 because in the Pogo Islands, to get certain firearms, you need to be 21 or be gone. And that would include anything like semi-automatic weapons and handguns and so forth. Yes, I think the age on firearms should be raised. What do I mean by that? I believe that in the Pogo Islands, we do have a national age for guns. It's 18 for long rifles and shotguns and so forth, but for handguns or any more powerful weapons like that, the age is 21. So the age is 21. So, and I'm actually not a left-winger that believes in banning any kind of guns, because actually for a leftist, I'm actually pretty libertarian when it comes to guns. I'm actually pretty open-minded when it comes to guns. But I do take typical lefty approaches when it comes to guns on certain instances, but contrary to a lot of them, I'm definitely on the more libertarian side when it comes to guns. But I do agree on this. What do I believe when it comes to guns? Well, I believe in the right. I believe in the right to have a weapon of your choice, to defend yourself, to hunt, or to do anything like that. I believe in open carry. Most left-wingers don't, I don't even think that they agree with open carry. I don't even think that they do. But I agree with open carry. As long as you're the right person and you don't have a criminal background and you don't have a history of mental illness, then by all means, you should have a right to carry, you should have a right. But you know what I believe when it comes to guns? My overall position when it comes to guns is this. Guns should be treated the same way as a motor vehicle. You might not agree with that. You might agree with that. You might not. But that's just what I believe in. And that's how the Pogo Islands does it. The Pogo Islands in Asia, that's how we do it. The Pogo Islands is definitely much more lenient when it comes to guns. But in contrary to this country, of course, where basically in some parts of this country, a fucking baby can have a gun practically. And people are just irresponsible with them, and that's why we have mass shootings every other fucking day. So yeah, that's why there's a big problem. So you see this type of thing, and then when you got people fucking bitching and moaning about this type of thing, it just to the point it gets ridiculous. See, I kind of take it, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I think when the right people have weapons, obviously that doesn't raise a problem. It obviously doesn't raise a problem, because I know a lot of people that are gun owners. My grandfather, my dad, one of my best friends. Actually, two of my best friends, one in New Hampshire, and my other one who lives a few towns away from here. So there are a lot. So as a result, yeah, I know people who are responsible gun owners. I even know one that owns an AR-15. Well, obviously the one in New Hampshire, go figure. But anyway, but yeah, they're responsible human beings. So I want responsible human beings to have a weapon of their choosing. But the problem with guns is that there are too many irresponsible people that have them, and there's too many people that shouldn't have them. That's the problem. And I believe in the Second Amendment. I absolutely do. But is there limits to the Second Amendment? The answer is, well, it should. Well, isn't there limits on? There's limits on free speech, right? You can't go into a theater and yell fire. You can't go into a theater and scream this. You can't go in a public place and do this. Okay, well then, is anything unlimited? I am a free speech absolutist, right? But obviously there's exceptions to, threats and threats of violence and doxing and so forth, right? Well, yeah, exactly. Just like there should be the following restrictions. There should be restrictions. There should, seriously. And I believe that requiring a permit to carry weapons, that's not an infringement on the Second Amendment. I'm sorry, it's just not. And if you can agree with that or not, it's okay. But it's not an infringement to require that. It is not. Is it an infringement to require everyone, you have to have a license to drive a car? Isn't a car a weapon? A car can be used as a weapon, right? Well, you have to have a license to drive. You have to get that thing inspected. You have to do this. You all know, everybody knows that who drives a motor vehicle. Do you know how hard it was to get your license? You have to go through the license process. You have to go through license renewal. That's how guns should be treated. That's how they should be treated, and that's how they're treated in the Pogo Islands. That's how they are treated in the Pogo Islands. There are some islands of the Pogo Islands that have some of the strictest gun laws in the world, but then there's others where it's definitely a lot more lenient. I would say in the more conservative areas of the Pogo Islands, it's obviously easier. It's obviously easier to obtain a firearm in those islands, whereas compared to the Aqua Island has amongst the strictest in the world, one of the strictest. The Indigo Island has the number one strictest. The Aqua Island is probably, no, I think it's like third. Turquoise Island is second. There are islands where the laws on AR-15s basically vary. There are some islands that ban them outright, like the Aqua Island. Then there's others where you can obtain an AR-15, but you have to be 21 or older. And there's very, very heavy restrictions. The Pogo Islands actually nationally banned assault weapons amidst the Increased Sentencing Penalty Act 1985. There was a point where even handguns were banned in the Pogo Islands, but there was a point where the Pogo Islands, that amendment expired. That was a sunset clause that obviously expired, so firearms were obviously made legal in 1985 to 1991 they legalized handguns outright. And then there was the Aqua Island that obviously has their own laws, just like every other island has laws. So basically, every island has laws that are consistent with what I believe in. Now, and then the assault weapons ban in the Pogo Islands in 2000 expired. It was 2000 or it was somewhere in the 2000s. I'd have to go back and look at this because there's a lot of information I have about the Pogo Islands here, everybody. But with regards to that, I believe that we have it to where it expired after some year. I think it was in the 2000s. I don't remember when. I think it was 2008. Actually, no, you're right. It was 2008. But it was replaced with a 21 nationwide age in islands where it's legal. So basically. The national law applies to the Pogo Islands because the Pogo Islands is a federation. But, okay, as far as AR-15s go, as far as semi-automatic weapons or high-capacity weapons, you want to call it, I'm not in favor of banning them outright. But I will say this when it comes to AR-15s at the very minimum. And basically when it comes to guns in general, but I believe that in order to get a gun, you should have to pass a mandatory written test, a psychiatric test, a fingerprint test, and a background test in order to obtain a license. That's exactly how you should do it. And if you get a permit to carry, and I also believe that it should be a shall issue. If you are the right person and you have no violent criminal history or anything like that, you have no felony criminal history, and you do not have any kind of, mental illness that's going to cause you to be a danger to yourself or someone else, then by all means, then it should be a shall issue. Then they should give it to you, and they can't deny that to you, because I think denying the right person to have a gun would be an infringement on that person's liberty, because it's like, why shouldn't a safe person be allowed to have it for self-defense, or to have it, for whatever, their own reasons, hunting, sporting, whatever the fuck they want to, whatever the fuck. And, as long as it's not for a criminal reason, obviously, and as long as, again, it's that. But there are certain criminal backgrounds where a person should not. If you have any kind of violent misdemeanor, even a misdemeanor assault on your record, and say if you got drunk in a bar and you assaulted someone, then that should disqualify you for life for ever carrying a gun. I believe in that. I don't think a petty misdemeanor should, but any violent crime, any violent offense, whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony, or a misdemeanor where you were given a prison sentence, that should disqualify you for life. And a felony of any kind should disqualify you from ever obtaining a firearm ever again. 100%. Even if, say, you committed fraud or forgery or counterfeit, that should disqualify you, because felons should not be allowed to have a gun. I don't care what the circumstance, no. Now let me get into that. So again, as long as you are the right person, then fine, by all means. But it should be a hard process. Like I said, guns should be treated the same way as a motor vehicle. That's actually what Howling Wolf 94 and I both agree on. But as far as, like I said, about AR-15s go, here's my take. Like I said, I'm not in favor of banning them, but I will say this. There is, and there should be, at the very least, very, and I mean very, heavy restrictions on them. And there should be severe limits on where you can even carry the thing in the first place. If you just want to buy an assault weapon because you think it's cool and you want to like put it up on your wall or something, then by all means. As long as the gun is not loaded, then I think you should be allowed to have it in your home and have it put on your wall or whatever. Or whatever. But here's the thing. You should not, and I repeat, you should not be legally allowed to walk around with an assault weapon in any public place, or basically anywhere outside of your home, with the exception of maybe a gun range. That is it. A person walking down the street with an AR, that should not be allowed under any circumstances. That should not be allowed at all. I don't know if that person's a threat. I don't know what that person's going to do. I don't know what their intention is. With the exception of maybe having it in your home, on your wall, or in your safe or something. If you're caught walking down the street or in some public place with an assault weapon, you should be arrested and prosecuted, and maybe for a first offender, you should be given like a hefty fine and given a warning and told not to do it again. And then if you do it again, then maybe I'd say put them in jail for a very long time. So as far as guns go, I'm not necessarily in favor of an AR-15 ban necessarily, because for humanitarian reasons and for maybe not even for basically for, left-wing reasons, because I'm a leftist. I think banning guns, just like they ban drugs, would basically would drastically increase mass incarceration further. I think that would actually just add on to people who are put in jail for firearm reasons, and then that would result in a slippery slope, if you get what I'm saying. So no, I don't think an AR-15 should necessarily be illegal. I think there should just be, extraordinary restrictions on where you can carry it and everything. You shouldn't be allowed to carry it anywhere, except in your own house, on your own property, or maybe in a gun range. Other than that, if you are caught walking around with an AR-15, that should be 100% illegal, and you should be prosecuted. I'm sorry, but that's just me. Sorry about that. You can call me anti-gun or whatever, even though I literally just been stating for the last 15 minutes that I'm anything but anyway, but that's besides the point. No. With the exception of maybe having it in your own house, you should not be, no, that should not be allowed. That should not be allowed. And obviously you should be 21 or older to do it, and you should have the thing stored and everything. And you should be held criminally liable if you fail to properly store a firearm. That's also what I believe in too. You should be held responsible for your guns because having a gun is a big responsibility. Like it should be considered a responsibility. So therefore, in the Pogo Islands, all of these opinions that I have listed about guns and AR-15s and so forth, this is how it's done in the Pogo Islands, or most of the Pogo Islands anyway. You should be held responsible for a gun that is not properly stored, and someone picks that up, and then they fire it or misfire it, because you were a fucking dumbass and you did not properly store that gun. That you should be held criminally liable for that, for whatever happens because you did not properly store it. So it should be mandatory that you either have an interlock on the weapon, or you have it stored away, properly stored away. And if you either don't do that, then have the thing interlocked and not have any bullets inside of it. But if you have anything like that and someone picks it up and they misfire it, or God forbid their child brings it to school, that's like every day in America. If you do that, then then you should be held responsible for that. If your child picks up your firearm that you did not store back or you did not take proper precautions with, then you should be held criminally liable for that. 100%. You should be held 100% criminally liable for that. So that's how it should be done. And everyone wants to, and basically the laws in the Pogo Islands are on guns are like identical to my beliefs. They're not that far off from gun laws in Massachusetts here where we live, which actually has one of the strictest gun laws in the country. But you want to know the fun thing about that? Not like fun, like haha fun kind of thing. Anybody who wants to bitch and moan about that, well, just remember, you know when the last time Massachusetts had a school shooting was in the year 2000. The last time someone went into like a mall or something and shot up a place and massacred a bunch of people, that hasn't happened in like 20 years or more. Okay, so whatever the fuck this state is doing with guns is working. It's working. And anyone who wants to say that, oh, you can't get guns here, well, then that's funny, because I know at least 3 people that have guns and own them legally. One of my best friends, my dad, and my grandfather. 3. That's 3 I could name right off the bat. No, I think the way that this state handles guns is perfect. Although there is one thing, there is an assault weapons ban. Or I don't know if it's an outright ban, but it's like a very heavy restriction or something like that. I'm not too sure. But whatever the fuck it is, it's working. It's obviously working because this state has one of the lowest gun death rates in the entire country. One of them anyways. So whatever we're doing here, whatever it is here in this state is working. I don't care. I don't care. I agree with that. And if anything, I think if the U.S. adopted that nationwide, I think you would see the numbers. You would see the numbers go down. Because contrast to other places in the country where there's a mass shooting every other fucking day, which the rest of the world looks at the U.S. like with just shock and disgust, like, oh my God, when we had a mass shooting, we took care of this. In New Zealand, when they had their mass shooting, they took care of it. In Australia, when they had it, they took care of it. The UK, they took care of that. In Canada, they took care of that. Although there's some things Canada was doing with guns recently I didn't agree with. Banning handguns, I definitely don't agree with that. But at the very least, the other countries, or even like Germany or Belgium or others that had mass shootings, they took the right precautions. They took the right precautions and they actually did something. Whereas it's like every other day and nothing ever happens. Nothing ever gets done. It's just considered a violation of my liberty. It's like it's considered a violation of my liberty. If you want to do anything. Even like a watered down background check. And I believe in universal background checks, universal all of the things that I have listed. So that's how it should be done, and that's how I would have guns if it was up to me. That's how we do it in the Pogo Islands, and that's how I would do it. You might not agree, you might not, and that's okay. If you don't, we can have a conversation about it down below, because like I said, I believe in civility as a human being, as a leftist. I believe in civility. I believe in civility 100%. So we can have that conversation all day long in the comments below. We can have that, and we can discuss it, and let me know what you think below. We should absolutely do that. You know, it's not perfect. It's not, like, there's no system that's going to be flawless or going to be perfect, obviously not, because it's human nature, okay? Nothing is perfect. But at the very least, we could do something better than what we have in this fucking godforsaken country right now, where basically everyone is just killing each other. So we could do something better. If we're not killing people overseas, we're killing each other. That's basically how it's going. Like I said, all empires fall, and that's what's happening. And I think if the U.S. had what Massachusetts does with guns, I think it would be so much better. I think it would be so much better. Well, maybe not the AR ban, but I don't know. But anyway, that's my thoughts. That's my opinions on it. And I am relatively gun friendly for a left winger. I am particularly friendly to gun. I am particularly pro-gun. For a left-winger, I'm pro-gun. Just like I said, the Pogo Islands as a country in Asia, where I locate it, my creation, in Asia, you would actually, the Pogo Islands would be considered lenient, especially compared to Japan, where like handguns are not even allowed. China handguns aren't even allowed. I don't even think they're even allowed in Singapore. I don't know. You'd have to fact check me on that one. Or others, basically. Well, I mean, look at Finland. Finland is armed to the teeth. Do they have mass shootings? Almost never. Other armed countries like Uruguay in South America, one of the most prosperous nations in the world, they don't have gun violence, very seldom as well. You don't see that happening. So obviously, it's not the guns that are the problem. Okay, so if guns were the problem, then wouldn't Finland have mass shootings all the time? Well, then that just shows. It shows the fact that we need a better society. We need a better country. We need a more prosperous country. Because if you had a prosperous country where the U.S. is anything but prosperous under fucking laissez-faire capitalism and corporatism and oligarchy, where basically the rich get richer and the middle class gets fucked over. And that results to people going to extreme options, and then they feel like they got nothing to lose. Whereas in prosperous countries that are economically thriving, the people don't feel like they have to do that. So the mental state of this country is fucked. The economic state of this country, same thing. All of that. So if we had a better welfare system and a better state of a country where they actually gave a fuck about the average person, then we wouldn't have this problem. We wouldn't be having this problem. Or at least wouldn't be having it as much as we do now. That's the issue. So the number one thing we have to do is we have to obviously make gun ownership more reasonable and more responsible, number one. And we just need to change the system. Because the system and people's economic conditions and other conditions of this country is the main reason. It's not necessarily because of the gun itself. It's the state of the country and how things are and how it's been for quite some time. So we have to get the economic state and the welfare state of this country, the welfare of this country. I would love for this country to be a welfare state, because as a socialist, I believe in a welfare state. I believe in a welfare state 100%. So if we had something better, I think people would not be in such bad straits, and people would be better off. And our country would be better off in the long run. And that's what the Pogo Islands has, and that's what I would have, and that's what I would propose. And that is what I believe in when it comes to guns. All summed up right here in this video. Hope you all enjoyed, and thank you all for listening. I will be back tonight in a few hours at 6 p.m. Look out for my stream. I already have like 4 videos to respond to. So look out for that. I'll see you all later. More stuff on the way. This is Zach, the Celtics guy, saying thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Look out for it, and I will catch you all later in my stream, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now. Take care. Have yourselves a great day, and I will see you all in the next one. Be safe, be well, stay safe, stay well, stay classy, and keep fighting. And keep on rocking. Splash, splash. Until next time, peace out.